Here's one of the latest interviews from Rock and Metal Revival. If you want to hear the whole show, go to rmrshow.com. Right there's one of my favorite Dokken tunes. It is Tooth and Nail on Rock and Metal Revival. And dude, with the big news around the rock world right now is that the original Dokken is getting back together for a series of shows in Japan. And I think we've had every member of Dokken on this program except one. And the most important one is with us today. We want to welcome Wild Mick-Brown to the show. Do you like that, how I kind of smooth you in there, Mick?
Yeah, I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, now, Mick, I always thought that hell would freeze over before the original Dokken played together again.
Yeah.
I didn't see it coming either. I'll tell you, there's a gentleman who worked with our band, and when we were absolutely a brand new band, I took a drum tech with me named Tom Mayhew, and it was his first rodeo as well. And through the years, he became Guns N' Roses stage manager and worked his way up through 35 years of being in the business. And he's been to Japan so many times. He knows all the people there. And, he said one day he was talking to some of the people and said, listen, if I put the Dokken guys together, would you be interested? And got a little interest going. And I guess it was a lot more interest than he thought, and he came to us and said, I think there's some people who want to see you guys back together back there, and you could do this. And he approached us with that. I thought that was really kind of nice of him to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Just coming from a drum tech point of view, and just turned it into that.
Yeah, really.
Wow.
And so it's his fault.
well, Mick, isn't Japan the last place the original four ever played together?
You know what? I don't know, but that could be a possibility. Yeah, it might have been. It may have been.
But I know you guys came back and you guys did the Shadow Life and you did
right.
Yeah, you did a couple albums.
But
in there.
we toured. We did Japan with those records.
Yeah,
we did go there and we did a film. There was some film from that, and I think you could be right. Yeah. Anyway, we're gonna go back and do it again. So what the hell?
Well, and I read the other day that Jeff and George are working on maybe even some new material. Is that true too?
I really haven't heard of that, but it wouldn't surprise me. That would obviously be the follow-up on, doing what we're doing. If someone would probably want to hear some new material. So, and Jeff's got a recording studio, so it makes it easy to do. And George lives close to Jeff. So, but poor Jeff, the guy's been a foreigner for, 19 years or something. And, he gets about 2 or 3 days off a week, maybe. And he's got this recording studio. And the area where he lives, old musicians, there's a lot of LA musicians that live in the area where he does. And they all come to his place, to get their works done. So, maybe George squeezes that time in there. I'm sure, Jeff loves to record. I mean, that's that's his passion, And nothing suits him better than being home for a few days and recording some music. So I'm sure something might happen there,
Now, how many shows are you actually going to do in Japan?
6.
Now, what we're good for. We've had John Levin on the show numerous times. What's going to happen with those guys?
Well, they weren't too keen on. Well, John wasn't too keen on it.
No.
And I can understand that. But we said, listen, the money. I mean, he understands it, and there. I hate to talk about money, but there's a lot of money involved here, and you can't be a fool in life and pass up these opportunities. And Don and I both told him, listen, it's only these 6 shows from what we know. And, Jeff's got to go back to work with Foreigner. So, I mean, that's, we've been sort of talking about this for a few years. And Jeff just said, listen, Foreigner just not going to give me the time off. We play all the time, 4 days a week.
Yeah.
So he has about a 10 or 12 day window to do this Dokken thing. And we're doing it. And he's going to go, I think he flies from Tokyo right back into a Foreigner show, wherever that's going to be. And I think it'll be business as usual back then. But listen, if there's some success with this and it all works right, we do it without, strangling each other, which, by the way, in the past we've been known to do that. So,
you could use the pay-per-view
if
for
we
that.
can make it through it all, you might see some of it spotted here again, but I don't know. Jeff's pretty locked into that Foreigner thing, and so we told John, listen, we're doing it in Japan. It's not in America, and basically Dokken. Well, yeah, I can't say Dokken just plays in America. The Dokken that is now, because we do go to Sweden and things like that, and we have done European tours. But we told John we'll be back. As soon as the shows are over, we're back to business as usual. So he's like, I'm sure he's a little apprehensive, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, he's feeling like Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer did back a few years ago when that first couple of reunion shows went on with Kiss. Hey, we're just doing it once.
Yeah. Just this one thing, yeah.
What was that, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is there any plans for maybe breaking out something you guys never played live? Doing something special?
I haven't looked at the set list. I did. We haven't played together in quite a while. So I said, listen, it's got to be old material that George had played on because, it's those members. And I know George hasn't played a lot of these songs in probably, 25 years or more. So I said, Don, I went through all of our CDs and pulled out. I gave Don about 15 songs. I said, I know that George can play these, but he needs to start, practicing them and let him know that that's these songs we're going to do. And I said, we still have room for others. So I'm kind of letting, I want to see if Jeff and George might want to pull out, and Don might have something up his sleeve that he wants to do. So yeah, there might be, we haven't really, it's still a few months away. We haven't nailed that list down. Jeff was also talking about doing an acoustic section in the show, which we did in Japan before, and that went pretty well.
I love that.
And but Don and I were thinking more of an 18, 19 song, rock show. Just go straight through it with, and not break it down and lose the audience, but break it down to that level,
Yeah.
So I'm not sure, it depends. Well, Jeff has a good way of persuading Don, so we'll see what happens.
Well, a few years ago, you guys did that Tooth and Nail, or the TNN project.
TNN, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you guys were playing some Dokken then, but you guys really never went out and did any live gigs.
Well, did you? Again, there's something you probably don't know about that. We actually have a part 2. We recorded a lot of material, and part 1 came out as, it was going to be called Tooth and Nail, and at the last moment on TV, we had to change the name due to law extensions,
Yeah.
And so we became TNN, and there is a part 2 that's laying around at Jeff's house that still needs to have a bunch of singers come and sing on and just button up the loose ends. But and I was really disappointed that didn't come out as well, because I wanted that to, I thought we should follow up and at least finish what we started, and we didn't do that. And then we were talking about doing this little touring band, maybe having a singer from every town that we were in come in, the ones that were close enough to come in and sing their song, Yeah. And Jeff could not get the time off for Warner, so his schedule is that tight. And listen, you can't just say I'm just going to leave and do this, and here's my understudy. I got to respect that. So that's what it is. But listen, maybe. Well, it all comes, it really all boils down to whatever Jeff can find out, figure out time, and I'm sure at some point maybe that will come out,
Cool.
And maybe that will happen. You just never know.
Yeah, cool. Now, I want to go back to your time with Ted Nugent for a minute, because we got walls of pictures, rock star pictures, and one of our pictures is, our favorite picture probably is your drunk driving on the
golf cart, yeah.
Golf cart picture.
Yes, the old golf cart.
That's so fucking
okay.
That picture is just so awesome. It's
now, whatever happened out of that, Mick? Are you not allowed to be golf anymore?
Let's just say there was a lot of legal fees, and I don't really want to get into it. But listen, it was. You know what really happened? I got a lot of good press out of it. The Associated Press wire went worldwide, and everywhere I go, people still tease me about it. And it was funny. I've never really been which what I thought was big trouble, because there was a lot of charges and a lot of attention to it. It kind of frightened me a little bit. I had every rock star in the world call me up and go, listen, we're all getting old and we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing, and thank you for waving our free flag for us, man. You are the king, And I thought, well then, okay. to be endorsed and approved by everybody was really nice. And listen, it was a funny moment. It was just a little drunk golf cart madness with a couple of girls in the back. It turned into a police chase and a fight,
I keep waiting for it on Cops.
Yeah.
Well, I did make TMZ or whatever that show's called. I thought, oh God, there's a Hall of Shame right there,
So now, what's the plan? Now you guys are going over in a couple of months, so you guys aren't touring right now. Is rehearsals coming up?
Well, no, Dokken still does this weekend. I leave. The Dokken that is now and has been for 20-some years, which I call Dokken, is we play regularly. So I'm playing. I have to leave here day after tomorrow. I think Minnesota or Illinois. I don't know where we're going. I just look at the plane ticket and go, okay, I'm going there. So, so that happens a lot. And then this thing will happen at the end of September.
Okay.
We will fly up to a place and do a few days of rehearsals, and I think we are going to film a show.
Nice.
And I think the filming is going to happen in this. We're going to do one show in America, I guess, and that's where the filming will take place. It's a little more cost effective to do it right here at this place that we'll be rehearsing, which seems to be. Don was trying to explain it to me. I've never been there. He said it's a big complex of music and recording studios and stages and things. So we're going to do a show there, film it, and then we're going to go to Japan. So,
cool.
And I think in Japan will be just a whirlwind of shows, just 6 shows in a row or something and go home.
I was going to say, they got a lot of cameras over in Japan.
Yeah, there's a lot of cameras there. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to ask you the tough question here, Mick.
Wait. What did you say? A lot of what?
There's a lot of cameras in Japan.
There's a lot of cameras in Japan.
Now, I'm going to ask...
Listen, no, guys, in this world today, we're just as guilty.
Oh, I know.
Everyone's got a phone, baby.
I tell you.
Exactly. Now, Mick, I'm going to ask you the tough question. Okay, this is going to be deep. Now, we're good friends with our friend Anthony Esposito. Okay?
Absolutely.
When are we going to see the Lynch Mob reunion?
Oh, well, Anthony, listen, Anthony came at me with just that. And
that'd be awesome.
I pitched it to George saying, listen, there's some film Anthony found. We can put out something, kind of get some thing going. And, George just wasn't that interested in doing it. I think George and George has it. I think George has other plans with the Lynch Mob. And at one point, I hadn't played with George in about 17 years.
Okay.
He called me up and said, listen, I need a drummer for about 3 weeks. 3 weeks, can you do it? And I said, okay, well, I'm coming to price. And he did, and I went, yeah, I can do it. And so I had more fun, because I hadn't been around him in a long time.
Yeah.
And it wasn't with Anthony, but it was Oni, myself, George, and Robbie Crane was on bass.
Yeah.
And I had the best time, and we just went down the road hooting and hollering. And it was hilarious because, some people change and maybe you fix things about yourself that are little faults in your life, but George hadn't changed at all. And I thought, oh, this is wonderful. It's just as dysfunctional as ever. And it was amazingly fun, horrifyingly fun, and I had the best time. So I thought, well, listen, if that happened, why won't that happen again? And I remember calling him at the beginning of a summer. I was hearing he was going to do a bunch of shows, and I called him and said, listen, why am I not in your band? He goes, you're just too expensive. I went, enough said.
Yeah.
So I stayed where I was, and that's where it stands. But, like I said, in this world, who knows? I never thought that the 4 of us would get back together and do this. I guess if you throw enough money on a wound, it will heal.
Yeah, exactly. Well, the reason,
and I hate to say that, but I mean, listen, it would take that to get some things together,
Well,
especially the Eagles did the same thing, when they went, they really had some bad vibes in that band, and when the money came through and they went, what? Well, I guess hell did freeze over, you know? I mean,
kind of like these 2 sold-out nights at GNR in Soldiers Field this past weekend.
Yeah, it's just
money heals some wounds.
Listen, who would expect in the middle of all this Guns N' Roses reunion that Axl Rose would step up to the frontman position in AC/DC?
Yeah,
and
just for
pull
a
it
warm-up.
off without the world, a lot of people are funny about that. But Ronnie Dio told me, he goes, listen, when I joined Black Sabbath, Mick, it was the whole time I was in it, all I saw was the middle finger from everybody in the audience, because they, back then bands hadn't changed members quite so much. And here's Ozzy, which was this big hero, and he was gone. And there's Ronnie, and everyone's like, and Ronnie made this wonderful records with them, and people just have a hard time appreciating that a lot. I thought, because it was a very odd experience playing in that band with all that going on.
Now, I got a really tough question. Now, your whole catalog with Dokken, are there any songs you think you could have added cowbell to and made them even better?
More cowbell. All of them. Every single one. More cowbell on them all.
Nice.
Well, Mick, we really appreciate.
Well, you know what? When I got into some of the producers in the Lynch Mob, I mean, I did a lot of percussion stuff in the Dokken days, but it always seemed to get, for me, or at least I know my hearing's bad, but it always seemed like, well, you know, where is it? You know, it's kind of down in the mix here. I don't hear, you know, and I always thought I really want this, you know, if you're going to do something and pump it up in a part, let's make that, you know, make it so you know it.
Exactly.
And so when I worked with Max Norman, is that his name?
Norman?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Max Norman, yeah.
And these guys, you know, the Wicked Sensation album with the Lynch Mob had probably the loudest cowbell and tambourines and things ever. In fact, I had musicians come up and they go, man, they said, listen, I never heard anything, you know, percussion that cool, that loud in a rock band. And I thought, well, you know, listen to some old AC/DC records when Bon Scott started shaking his maracas in parts. They're hugely loud. And apparently you had to be an English producer to do it, but he did it, you know.
Yeah.
Well, you know, that's like, you know, one of the reason I asked about the Wicked Sensation lineup is I bet I've went through 15 copies of that album, and I still have one in my car every day. That is one of the CDs that it doesn't matter. I can listen to that anytime. That's just a timeless
Well, you know,
release.
I know this might sound a little conceited, but some things that I'm proud of. I'm proud of a lot of things that I've recorded. But, you know, you always know you hit a nerve when the musician world comes at you and says, I like that. You know, I mean, in a total. And two records that stuck out in my career. The first one was Under Lock and Key with Dokken. That was a well-recorded record with Michael Wagner. And a lot of young bands, Firehouse, and a lot of bands after us said we took that record into our producer and said this is what we want to sound like, you know. And so I knew we hit a nerve there, and you know, that created a big thing. And then the Wicked Sensation record, I mean, that was another one that really kind of rocked the musicians. They went, geez, you know, you guys upped your game again, you know, and that was good, you know.
Sure.
And listen, nothing better than your peers saying they enjoy something you did, you know.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just it's a great accomplishment, and especially when it's real, and you know it was, you know, we knew we had something good, and when everyone, you know, said yes, you did, pat on the back, you know, and I thought, wow, that's worth everything, you know. I know no one can ever take it away from me. I know those were great moments when that happened, you know.
For
All
sure.
right.
For
Well,
sure.
Yeah,
Mick,
I feel good about that.
cool. We
And especially like you said, you know, you went through 15 copies. And
Yeah.
still listen to it daily in the car.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I don't
Winner,
know.
you know?
Yeah, if it wasn't on vinyl, it was on cassette, and then it was CD, and you know, it's like,
you know, listen, how many times has this technological world made us buy that record?
Yeah,
4 or
you
5
got to
times?
buy it so many
You know what I'm
times.
saying?
Exactly.
exactly. Well, Mick,
I'm telling you, I don't know if we're done yet. Huh? We think we are with iTunes, but no, there's got to be something coming up.
No
they got to
way.
figure out a new way to market it, so we have to buy that White Album again. You know?
Yeah, really.
the totally remastered Dokken catalog. I'm waiting to get my teeth into that one.
There you go.
So yeah, well, Mick, we appreciate you coming on the show. I know you're busy with Dokken, and that you're out on the road, and this whole Dokken reunion's got me pumped up because you guys were.
Yeah, you sound excited, you know, and that's given me a good thing because I was very apprehensive at first, and I thought, why? I went, why am I apprehensive? This should be a lot of fun. And the more I started getting involved in it and talking to people like yourself, and you know what? I mean, it's a lot of fun for me to hang around George Lynch and Jeff Pilson because they have a really weird sense of humor that horrifies me in a humorous way. And I know they're going to wind me up, and it's going to be so great.
Yeah,
I can hardly wait. I'm getting very excited about it. So that's good. I wanted to go in it with the right excitement, you know, and I'm feeling that. So I'll tell you what, we've never lost when we go into it with our heads in the right spot. And, I'm telling you, that's a good feeling. So I have a good feeling about this.
Excellent. Well, you said how proud you were of Under Lock and Key. Is there a tune off there you want to grab? One that you just love to play live?
Listen, you know, I'm trying to remember what was on it. Listen, your call. I think you know better than I.
How about Unchain the Night?
There you go. Go ahead.
All right. Well,
Nice.
Mick Brown, it has been a pleasure, and you can come on Rock and Metal Revival anytime, and we can talk about anything.
Well, now you know my phone number. If we could just get the time right, we'll do it.
Shit.
Hey, Mick.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. And listen, thank you for all your listeners, for all the support through all these years. I love you for it.
To catch the whole show of Rock and Metal Revival, all you have to do is check it out on these affiliates. Mega Rock Radio's on Saturdays from 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and on Uncontrolled Noise Tuesdays at 1 a.m., Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern on UncontrolledNoise.com. And make sure that you leave them a message and tell them that you found Rock and Metal Revival on their stations.